Now you mentioned that this story, that you had to find ways that the story was different, but just kind of going to the opposite side, how was the story relatable to you? How was it so similar to you? What were some things that were similar?
So relatable. So especially, I think one thing that Carla does so well with all of her pieces is she really highlights a lot of the Asian American or Asian cultural struggles that happen in America. And even so the relationship between Mason and his father, there's so much love in it, but at the same time there's always this step back to make sure that you're doing the right thing for the family, for yourself, and understanding the sacrifices that your parents make to get to where they want you to be and where you want to be. A lot of that was very on the nose. A lot of the conversations, a lot of the tactics that Mason uses to talk to his dad, to deflect answers or try to get their points across, that's all things that I've done in real life with my parents. Like choosing when I can ask for things. Like Mason pushes a lot more for those, but there's definitely that smidge in the back of his mind where he's like, okay, now I can ask for more money since I've gotten straight A's, but taking a step back from that even more, there's a lot of his story is very similar to mine. He's super interested and passionate about the arts. I'm very passionate about the arts as well. His dad wants him to go to business school. I did go to business school. My parents wanted me to go to business school, and I decided to give it a shot as well. But then after trying it out, I realized that for me, finance and business wasn't the main thing that I wanted to do, so I decided to pursue the arts, much like how Mason decides that business isn't for him, and he decides to try and pursue music.
So going down that path a little bit, you mentioned that earlier that you're a native Atlanta, so when you went to business school, what school did you go to, and did you graduate?
Yes, I did. I did graduate. I went to Georgia Tech, the Georgia Institute of Technology, for their business school. I had a great time. Nothing against the school as a whole or any of that experiences, but I got a degree in business and concentration in finance. And I ran the entire gambit of that. I went to a couple of finance-related internships, and then after that I realized, don't want to spend my life running financial databases and coming up with numbers. For me, the call for me was something related to the arts and creating something to impact people with.
So I know initially when your parents found out you were going to Georgia Tech and you were having a finance degree, a major with a finance degree, I know they're very proud and excited. So how did you break the news to them that you wanted to pursue the arts, which is maybe not as glamorous or even lucrative?
Right. That's a good question. I think for me, I always chipped away a little bit at it, because I did performance arts and I did theater since I was in around 7th grade, and 6th grade, sorry, and then it slowly started becoming a bigger and bigger part of my life. So I think they anticipated it. I did mention that I wanted to try to audition for performing arts schools, but I was too afraid to get my stuff together for auditioning for those parts, and so it wasn't until after my internships, I had 2 or 3 financial internships, one with an mergers and acquisitions company, one with a bank, one with a startup. So I had a huge range of all of the different companies I tried, and I sat them down and I said, these don't work for me. And one thing that I have a sister, my sister told me was originally, before you talked about how you wanted to pursue it, it was a very idealistic way of going about it, but after I had all of these experiences with business, I was like, oh, I need to come up with a better plan to at least comfort them in understanding, I know the risks that are involved with taking an art job or arts career. And I began to explain to them, how it was different and what sort of things that I would need to prepare, and the different values that I had where I was at my point in time. I'm not too interested right now in the money. I believe the money will come once if you pursue what you love. And I came up with a plan, like, I wanted to get into this specific internship for acting, Actors Express, and I did. And, trying to find my way around the Atlanta theater and all of that. And that's sort of been helping them turn over to the idea of me pursuing an acting career.
So the fact that you've been able to do some concrete steps in the art field, they're kind of warming up to the notion, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You
it
think
helps. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was about to say, do you think it takes you're gonna have to win an Oscar in order to truly win them over?
I think so. I think at this point that's what I'm gunning for. A little bit of those highbrow awards, but I think at this point we're at a place where it's still like new territory for them, and it's something that's understandably very scary for them. I think going back to the whole Asian American experience, all of our parents want us to be lawyers, doctors, businessmen, CEOs, and things like that. Those less trodden paths are things that scare us because scare our parents, because they've come to America and risked so much for themselves to do it. Like my mom came with, I think she says like $200 for a plane ticket back to China if things didn't go well. My dad was one of the first classes to go back to college after the Cultural Revolution, and so he had to like really keep under the radar to get a scholarship to come to America so that he could give me and my sister and our family a better chance, and stuff like that. So it's a very understandable thing.
So knowing that you have kind of, I guess it's in a sense kind of some pressure to do right by the family.
Right.
Now, how did you kind of, I guess, what's your response to when you decided that you did not want to go the traditional route in finance and all that stuff?
Right.
Was it a scary time for you, or kind of what were your thoughts at that time?
I think it was a very emotional and turbulent time. When we're growing up, for me, the things that I was interested in and valued in definitely came from a place that, because I was given a little bit more financial freedom and opportunities that my parents might not have had, I thought about things very differently, about what I wanted to do. And I guess when it came to choosing, I guess, there was this one really great speech made by Jim Carrey for one of his, for a college. It was a commencement speech where he said, "You can still fail at doing the things you hate." And his dad was an accountant and he got laid off. And that was something that really sobered me up, for at least. And it was like, I can be miserable and maybe I'll make money, but I could still fail, And for me, if I want to create a future for my kids, I want one where we can all be happy, which sounds like really idealistic, but it's like if I can be happy and supportive of them, then I think that I'll do that. I can do a good job as a parent, and once more going into the thing of, you can still fail doing things you might not like, or things that you're not the best at, and so why not put your chips into the thing you're good at and focus on it and really make an earnest run at it. And for me, that's where I am at my life, and I want to really focus on the art and the acting and see how far I can go with that.
And here you are, and you're at the Horizon Theater in this production, and this is your first production as well, first professional theater production. Kind of tell me your feelings about that.
Oh man, it's definitely a whirlwind. I definitely felt a lot of pressure. I was definitely nervous because I was familiar with the person who played Alex, Ash Anderson. She actually performed at Actors Express while I was an apprentice, so I was like, oh gosh, she's amazing. I need to make sure that I can keep up with that, and all of these other actors are super experienced, but it's been such a wonderful process. They've been so supportive, and I learned that everyone has something unique to bring to the table, no matter what their experience level is. They all have these experiences, and I do as well. And so as the process went on, I found myself more comfortable make those choices to tell my story, if you will. And it's been an absolutely wonderful process. Horizon has been an amazing theater to work with. Lisa Adler has been great to me, and I absolutely adore my director, Melissa.
Now, was there a moment in any process in the production that you felt like, very anxious or nervous, and then that, is this going to work out or not, that you kind of felt kind of...
all the time. I think for the first 3 or 4 weeks, like I was in my head a lot about, was I giving enough to my scene partner? Was my music gonna come together in time? And I think after a certain point, I realized, if you have time to worry about it, then you have time to work on it. And then, I was able to just talk with everyone else, getting to know the cast, and they all had their own inputs and helped me find my own stride in a way, for sure. But there was definitely there were definitely bumps along the way.
This being your first professional performance, what's been the biggest surprise for you? Something that you didn't realize that...
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it was all like... I guess balancing everything outside of theater was pretty challenging for me at first, because especially since I said I had to compose my own music. The days that other people had off, I was here, I was working with Akori to do it, and so I had to find ways to decompress and like be much more efficient about it. And just every time I go into another process and learn, I always learn new things. And I always think, I learned so much in my apprenticeship. I don't know if it'll be just as much, but this show too, I've learned so much from each individual actor on their style and like how they see their character and their work, and that's all been such a big influence on me that I'm definitely excited to carry forward and take to my next venture.
Has there been like maybe one lesson that just really stood out to you?
Oh man.
I know there's been numerous, but
for sure. This one's like a little ephemeral, I think, but the idea of how you can place your voice and how you can color your words with your voice in theater was something that my stage dad, Y, helped me learn about, and just how to make every sentence count and make every word that you say important has been one of the biggest things for me. Like, it completely changed how I think about voice, how I think about like everything, I feel.